SVR IAS Online Academy welcomes you to the Polity online video lectures. ComeOnIndia.com is our website. In this video lecture, we will teach you about fundamental duties. Fundamental duties is a very important topic for prelims and mains examination. First, you should be able to define what is fundamental duty and why our original constitution did not have the fundamental duties, and later what are all the important constitutional amendment act which introduced fundamental duties, especially 42nd and 86th constitutional amendment acts, and what is the role of Swaran Singh committee in relation to the fundamental duties. Then what is Article 51A and what is Part 4 of the Indian Constitution which deals with the fundamental duties. Later, we will teach you the 11 fundamental duties and how to remember the 11 in the orderly manner. Then we will teach you how fundamental duties are important to India and why fundamental duties are made as a non-justiciable in nature. What are all the important differences between fundamental rights and fundamental duties and so on. So it is a very important video lecture. Let's start it. First, define what are fundamental duties. Fundamental duties are defined as a moral obligations on all citizens. Obligations on all citizens to help promote the spirit of patriotism and to uphold the unity of India. Here you can compare the definition of fundamental duties with the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are legal obligations on the government of India, both central and state government. Here fundamental duties are moral obligations on the citizens of India. Original constitution contained only the fundamental rights, not the fundamental duties. It is important for the prelims examination. If you get a question like original constitution contained both fundamental rights and fundamental duties, means you should be able to careful. Original constitution had only fundamental rights and not the fundamental duties. Fundamental duties are added to the Constitution of India by 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. It is a very important act. You should remember that under 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976, fundamental duties were added to our Constitution. Fundamental duties were added based on the Swaran Singh committee's recommendation. Don't forget the committee name. It is important for the prelims examination. Like 42nd Act, Swaran Singh committee recommended to incorporate the fundamental duties to our Indian Constitution. Fundamental duties came into effect on January 3rd, 1977. The another important point here, originally there were totally 10 number of fundamental duties were there, but later in 2002, one more fundamental duty was added to the Indian Constitution by 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. These 11 fundamental duties are placed under Article 51A of the Part 4 of Indian Constitution. Under Article 51A, Part 4 of Indian Constitution. Don't forget the article number and which part. Now, let's discuss the 11 important fundamental duties. Always, whenever you touch the fundamental duties topic from the textbook or from our notes, always have a look at the 11 fundamental duties. Revise at least 20 to 30 times. Then only you will be able to remember the 11 points. The first fundamental duty is we should abide by our constitution and We should respect the ideals and our institutions, national anthem and national flag. We should cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. We should respect and follow the noble ideals that helped in our freedom struggle, like Satyagraha, non-violent, non-cooperation movement, like that. What are the important ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom? We should follow that. And third important duty is we as a citizen of India should uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. How to remember? Give a code name SUI. S for sovereignty, U for unity and I for integrity. Fifth important fundamental duty is that we should promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood among the all people of India without worrying about religious, linguistic, regional and sectional diversities. And we should renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. We should ensure the dignity of women. Sixth important fundamental duty is to preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. As you know, India's culture is diverse in nature. India is a multilingual, multi-religious and multicultural society where composite culture should be preserved. Seventh fundamental duty ensures that we should protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lakes, rivers and wildlife. And we should have the compassion for living creatures. Eighth important fundamental duty is that we should develop the scientific temper, humanism and the spirit of inquiry and reform. Ninth important fundamental duty is that we should safeguard the public property and we should abjure violence. This fundamental duty is getting importance in the background of many protests organized by whether students' organization or political parties. It turns into violent protest and public property getting damaged. So in this background, this fundamental duty is getting important. 10th fundamental duty is that we should strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity so that nation constantly rises to the higher level of endeavor and achievement. 11th important fundamental duty, which is added to the Constitution by 86th Constitutional Amendment Act 2002. According to it, we should provide opportunities for education by the parent or guardian to his child or a ward between the age of 6 to 14 years as the case may be. If you look at the languages used in the fundamental duties, it's of more like a lawyer's language. It's often criticized by the experts that it's difficult for a common man to understand the broad, vague terms used in the 11 fundamental duties. For example, composite culture, scientific temper, spirit of inquiry and so on. Even for a civil service aspirant, it is difficult to understand some broad, vague terms. But try to memorize all the 11 important fundamental duties in the exact language. So in a mains exam, you should use the same language. Let's understand the nature or significance of the fundamental duties. Fundamental duties serve as a reminder to the citizen of India to perform specific duties towards society and It acts as a warning signals to the citizens against anti-social activities like disrespecting the minorities, harming the public properties and so on. So fundamental duties act as a warning signals to the Indians, and they act as a reminder to perform specific duties towards society. The important point is that fundamental duties at present is not enforceable, but in future, Parliament has the power to make laws for fulfillment of the fundamental duties and can impose punishment and penalties for any act. So fundamental duties may be enforceable by law. At present, fundamental duties are non-justiciable in nature. In 1992, Supreme Court gave an important judgment related to fundamental duties. According to that, if central government brings any law by passing it in the Parliament to give effect to any of the fundamental duties, Supreme Court may consider such law as a reasonable in relation to Article 14 or Article 19. So, it will save such law from the unconstitutionality. Fundamental duties will help to promote a sense of discipline and commitment among the citizens of India. Fundamental duties create a feeling that citizens are not mere spectators, but they are the active participants in the realization of national goals. What needs to be done? At present, some of the languages used in the fundamental duties are vague, like scientific temper, composite culture, and so on. So, the important thing is that we need to simplify the language used in the fundamental duties so that common man can understand the language and one important point is that some of the fundamental rights are available to both citizens and aliens. But here, fundamental duties are applicable only to the citizens of India and not to the aliens. It is a very important point from the prelims point of view. Another important point from the prelims point of view is that we borrowed the concept of fundamental duties from USSR. Now, let's discuss the various laws passed by the Parliament for enforcement of the fundamental duties. In order to ensure that dignity of Constitution of India and respect to the national flag and national anthem, we passed the Prevention of Insults to the National Honor Act 1971. So, under which if anyone disrespects our national flag, Constitution of India and national anthem, it is punishable under the Prevention of Insults to the National Honor Act. What if someone uses the national flag and national anthem improperly? So to prevent the improper or misuse of the national flag and national anthem, government passed Emblems and Names Prevention of Improper Use Act 1950 after getting independence. So it deals with the improper use of the national anthem and so on. Flag Code of India deals with the various instructions how to use the national flag correctly or how to display the national flag correctly. So like that, 3 to 4 examples are enough to write the answer in mains examination. There are so many laws are there. There is no need to mention all the acts and acts names. Just mention 3 or 4 examples while writing the answer in mains examination. Now let's understand the important differences between fundamental rights and fundamental duties. As already we discussed, fundamental rights apply to both citizens and foreigners, whereas fundamental duties apply only to the citizens of India. Fundamental rights are justiciable in nature. In case your fundamental rights are affected, you can go to the court for enforcement of your fundamental rights. But fundamental duties are non-justiciable in nature. That means they cannot be taken to court of law if they are not followed. At present, fundamental duties lack legal sanction. But in future, if Parliament thinks so, Parliament can pass a law to enforce fundamental duties. Fundamental rights have the negative impact on the government, but fundamental duties have impact on the citizens. That's all about the topic we discussed: fundamental duties, important constitutional acts, 11 fundamental duties, name, and so on. It's an important video lecture for the prelims examination and also for mains. Download the PDF and revise it properly, and all the best.